compassionate logic.
New ideas and efficient tools for a happier, more connected life.
The threats against our ego really come from the things that our mind tells us all the time. The negative core beliefs. Things that come from the outside world stimulate our mind to say things like, you're unlovable, you're unforgivable, you're not enough, you don't matter, you're powerless, you're weak, you're a coward. And then we react, sometimes violently from that, because there's a big threat to our ego. But there's another way to wrangle what's going on in your mind and then respond instead of reacting.
Even if you have those beliefs down there, I've been working on it for 12 years, but I have down there somewhere still lodged deep in the center of my psyche. I've been able to pry it out yet, but I still have beliefs that I'm a failure and I'm going to be alone and that I'm unlovable. There's a bunch of other ones, and most of us have all of them to some degree. I'm worthless or whatever your beliefs are. Usually there's a few that really, really have sunk to the core of your being, and those ones have lodged in for me. With all my work, those are still there, and if I really start to get stressed, I can quick check in. Well, is it because of this, do I think I'm going to be a failure? Do I think because of this I'm going to be alone? Do I think because of this I'm going to be unlovable and prove that I'm those things? Prove I'm unlovable, prove I'm a failure, prove that I'm going to be alone. And so almost all my stress still, eventually, if I trace it down far enough, it's hitting one of those nerves.
Or sometimes all three.
One of the things that I have found really helpful when trying to figure out what to do about the things that are causing me stress, all my worries and fears, is write them down. Writing them down can be somewhat cathartic, and actually seeing them physically typed or handwritten gives you a different perspective on it, literally and figuratively. But after you write them down, you can help figure out which ones to potentially address. And you're going to have 3 columns that you're going to judge each of these on. And the first one is, how immediate is it? How often? What is the frequency of this thing? How overwhelming is it? So 10 is, it might kill me in the next few days. So I've been vomiting blood, or I've been fainting daily, several times a day. So those are things that might be life-threatening, and that's probably a 10. 1 is, every once in a while it happens. It happened to me once last year, and I think it happened this year. So that's extremely rare. So frequency, how often is it a problem? How immediate is the problem? Another one is control. How much control do you have over that? 10 is, I am solely in the driver's seat. I can decide. So maybe I'm slouching. I can straighten up, unless you have a physical thing that impedes you. But generally, I can straighten up. So there are things that you have immediate control over, and 1 or 0 even is what they call acts of God. So is there going to be a tornado in town this year? Is there going to be a big earthquake? Is the world economy going to do something or other? Most of us are not in a place where we can do anything about that. So 10 is things that you have personal direct control over. 5 is maybe something where it's half mine and half somebody else's, or where I have partial, I can do something about it. I can get insurance, for example. Maybe I can do something about it. So how much control do you have over it? Then lastly is, which is the most important to me? Which, if I address it, is going to have the most positive gains in my life, or remove the most negative things? Or what do I feel the most strongly about? So maybe it's some sort of political activism, or maybe it's something with my church or my community or my family, or something in my life I've wanted to do for a long time. Maybe it's really important, that's a 10. Maybe 1 is, it's on my bucket list to do maybe someday before I die. That's a 1. One thing that might be helpful to do is, when you first categorize these, your brain is going to tend, because it's often been dwelling on these a long time, to list all of these as 10s. These are all immediately important, in my control, I need to do it right now. But if you go through and find most of the numbers are high, go back a second time and go, is that hurting my toe, kicking the door, is that really a 10 that it's a little bit sore and bruised? Or is my 5-year-old said a bad word, is that really a 10? If I don't do anything about it right now, somebody's going to die? Probably not.
Nope.
It might seem ridiculous, but your brain often will inflate, in my experience, those things to life-threatening proportions just by dwelling on it and never taking a reasonable look at what is actually going on and what you can do something about and how important it is.
Thank you for watching our video.
If you like the video, please subscribe.
Please like.
Please leave a comment.
comment below. Thank you so much.